I think one of the things that we've seen this sort of tremendous progress on over the last year or so is where proof of concepts and the art of the possible is starting to transition into real production. Meaning, this is no longer a nice to have or a demo, but rather something that people are going to leverage and use every day from a government perspective. And when that happens, I think one of the things that's really important is you have the right sovereign controls, because in particular for public sector services, people want to know the data is safe, it's secure, often that the AI is going to stay in country. So there's needs to kind of set up sovereign AI in a solid way. And then as people start to use this to run their governments, you also really need to understand the operational requirements, security, reliability, observability, so that you can understand how it's being used. And I think the UAE has been just sort of a phenomenal example of kind of taking all of those elements and really applying it. And when you look inside the UAE and Abu Dhabi, the amount of use cases that are now in production and having real citizen impact is just phenomenal. And a key part of that for us has been our partnership with G42 and with the government here.
Maybe tell us a bit more about how the partnership has played out. Obviously, Microsoft is one of the, you're part of the GAFA acronym, which I know my friends at Microsoft are always very annoyed that you're obviously one of the 7 giants in the US and the most valuable company on the planet. Why did you think it was necessary to bring in a big sort of external American company to do what you needed to do here?
Well, first, thanks for having us here at this occasion to talk about this incredibly important topic of AI development for societies. To echo what Scott said earlier, while many countries, governments, and organizations are still talking about AI as a conceptual, theoretical initiative, companies like Microsoft and countries like UAE already put this into practice for years now. In the UAE specifically, before getting into the Microsoft relationship, it's well known. We are right now actively constructing 5 gigawatts of AI campus. We are connecting the national power grid to this new intelligence grid because we believe AI will become a more important utility than even electricity. Number 2, I want to give you a very simple, straightforward example of how AI is already being adopted at a society level. There is one government application in Abu Dhabi called TAMM, T-A-M-M. In Arabic, many of you know, it means done. Whatever you need as a citizen, consider it done, powered by AI, which we developed in this app in conjunction with Microsoft. In fact, it's 100% running natively in Azure today. So why did we pick Microsoft? Well, ask yourself a few questions as an AI user, as an AI adopter. Do you want access to best AI models? Yes? Well, Microsoft offers that. Do you want secure sovereign compute? The answer for sure is yes. Again, our partner Microsoft offers that. Do you want to make sure this is a scalable, secure infrastructure that connects you to many of existing partners around the world? The answer, once again, is yes with Microsoft. So it's no brainer for us to partner with Microsoft to build applications like TAMM. But there's so much more. So much more. So with 5 gigawatts of AI capacity we're building right now in the UAE, we expect to be able to output up to 100 trillion tokens on a daily basis. That is a large number of intelligence we can provide to the country, to the region, even to the rest of the world. Number 2, because UAE is so well connected through undersea fiber cable to 4 billion people around the world with less than 100 millisecond latency, we are able to ensure equitable, responsible use of AI and equitable access of AI to a large part of the world. And this is where our partnership with Microsoft can bring the best value.
What do you worry about most? What could break? And tell me a little bit sort of what kind of things that don't give you nightmares necessarily, but sort of when you think about, this makes me a bit anxious about doing this?
I'll comment on this. Maybe Scott, you can talk about from your perspective as well. AI is such a brand new technology. We can either sit here and theorize how many things can go wrong and worry about it and not to do anything about it, or be a pioneer, being a practitioner to try it. Starting with, as you mentioned, pilots, then larger scale societal deployment. I think only through usage can we understand what the real risks are. Of course, AI can be misused by bad actors, and even by accident, by good actors who do not fully understand the full power of AI. So we are responsibly practicing AI across our society while keeping track those edge use cases and to manage it before it becomes a societal deployment.
Can I just maybe sort of ask you, what do you think an edge use cases that isn't quite ready, but is, you think, the next thing you might want to try, either in the UAE or that you're seeing across your global operations?
Well, I think the big shift you're going to see with AI that's really going to start to happen over the next 12 months is the move to what we call autonomous AI, where I think historically a lot of the AI use cases that probably everyone in this room has played with is you're sort of asking a chatbot and you're getting a response, and you're sort of driving the behavior, you're interpreting the results. That's powerful, but what becomes even more powerful is when you can assign a task to an agent that's going to go work on something on your behalf and perhaps complete an action without necessarily checking with you on every single step. And once you introduce that autonomy, where it's got a little bit more ability to go off and do things, you really need to make sure that you have the right governance, so you actually understand what it has access to, what it's doing. You need to have the right security controls. You need to have the right safety controls, so that if it starts to hallucinate or starts to do something inappropriate, you both understand it and can immediately stop it. And that's a big part of some of the work that we're driving right now is kind of adding that kind of, we call it Agent 365 framework.
Yeah.
So that you can understand what's going on, again, have complete visibility into it, and then complete control over it inside your enterprise. And I think that's going to be the most important thing for society to get right, because otherwise you could potentially have unintended consequences, where an agent deletes something it shouldn't, or cancels something it shouldn't, or potentially has something worse.
Turn the water off when it shouldn't.
Can I just follow up on this point, if you allow me? I mentioned this giant 5 gigawatt AI factory in the UAE that is going to produce potentially 100 trillion tokens per day. We call this our token factory. But to Scott's point, we are in parallel building another factory. We call this the agent factory. Exactly as Scott mentioned, you can either passively leverage AI to help you answer questions on your mind, or AI can become a lot more autonomous, proactive in supporting your workload, in exploring new areas of discovery. And this is where agents come in. So in addition to building a national infrastructure for token management, we are building a national infrastructure for agent management as well in collaboration with Microsoft. As we empower our agents to do more for us, while we are taking a break, while we are sleeping, they are actually working. We need to ensure they are doing the work in the right way, responsible way. So building this agentic workflow and agentic platform to ensure the proper identification, authorization, and transactions between us and the agents and between the agents themselves is now a national priority for us as well.
Is there a single agentic AI use case in operation right now at G42?
Well, the TAM example I gave earlier is an agent, a government service agent. But I'll give one more example. In our audience right now is Excellency Mansour Mansouri from Department of Health in Abu Dhabi. We are deploying, as we speak right now, AI for primary care. So doctors can use AI agents now to provide higher quality and also lower cost access of healthcare to its patients.
Can you think of another? I'm kind of curious whether, because example, in business, it is rare to find agentic use cases, and because people are just scared. They talk about it a lot, but they don't implement it. Are there other governments that have agentic AI use cases in operation right now?
Yeah, I think we're seeing lots of organizations start to use them from an operations perspective. So, for example, like just
internally, much more.
Internally,
Yeah.
but often to communicate externally. So, for example, in my organization, we have probably 20 or 30 million miles of physical network fiber in the ground around the world. Often that's with partners, sometimes government-regulated telcos in different countries. And in any given day, we might have 100 fiber cuts happen around the world. And we have redundancy, so there's no customer impact, but we obviously want to make sure that we repair those fiber cuts when they happen. And we used to have, a team of 100 people that would chase, working with different telcos to say, this is the GPS location of the fiber cut. Have you rolled a crew to go fix it yet? And go back and forth. And we now have an agent that does it. And they have an email address and a name. And so they reach out to the telco and say, you've got a fiber cut, and over email. And the telco responds back and gives us updates, and the agent is talking to the telco. In a lot of cases, we don't think the telco actually knows that it's an AI agent. For all we know, maybe they have an AI agent talking to our AI agent. We don't know for sure that they're real either. But it's been a way that we ultimately think we need hundreds of people doing this role on our current course and speed over the next couple of years, that we're now completely automating it. And more importantly, we're fixing those types of issues much, much faster and doing it with a lot less toil. And so, that's a simple example where we're using AI agents with existing analog things like email as the flow, and starting to drive business outcomes with it. And I think if you think about government services, if you think about any type of operational role that needs to coordinate activities, I think every organization, whether it's in the public or private sector, probably has similar, needs like that they could benefit from.
We just have a little bit of time left, but maybe in the time that we do have left, I want to talk about winners and losers from AI. Talk about it in business. Vladimir Putin famously said, whoever wins AI is going to run the world. Are we seeing a fragmentation as well in terms of how governments are adopting AI? You see it from the Stanford Index. There's a UK-based index. And is that gap something which is already, you think, almost too wide? Is it a north-south gap? Or how are you seeing this play out? Because we are, early on, but it's already 2.5 years in, so that gives you a good sense.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a winner take all with AI. I think we're starting to see multiple different silicon chips. We're seeing multiple different models. We're seeing multiple different AI use cases. And I think there's going to be lots of winners, I think, with AI. I think the key thing, though, is going to be the biggest winners will be the organizations that I think are looking to adopt it to really drive change faster. And I think we saw a similar dynamic with the internet. We saw a similar dynamic with smartphones. The companies that really embraced it first were often the winners in the private marketplace of, they're the companies that we think of today in social media or in communications or in retail that really leveraged it. And there's a lot of companies that were big 30 years ago that were slow, and we don't remember their names anymore. And I think in the case of government services, if you look around the world today, especially I would say in Europe and in North America, there's a real gap in terms of the level of services public services that often citizens are expecting. Budgets are tight, and people are often unhappy with healthcare, unhappy with the state of many things that they have. And I think AI does give us this opportunity, hopefully, to provide a much better citizen experience. And again, when my trip here to Abu Dhabi and to UAE, it's just phenomenal looking at, Peng was talking about TAM. I got a good demo of that yesterday. I had a chance to meet with the health ministry and so many other government organizations. And there's just, incredible work happening here that is really cutting edge in terms of providing digital services to really transform the impact of the people here. And I think AI is integrated into all of that.
Yeah. Let me give the last word to Peng. You've had a global career. You were in MicroStrategy before. You've seen things. What would you say to governments that are behind? Well, how do you catch up? What would be a easy recipe to
Like
follow?
what we're doing at G42 and UE as a nation, to catch up, to keep up, you need a partnership. So my last word will be this, going beyond what Scott said about organizations adopting AI. Nation states have to set AI as their number one, not number two, number one priority to move the needle on the GDP. For nations, many of them who don't have the natural resources such as power, of course, they cannot build native compute tomorrow. However, as you may know, at this event this week, we are launching at UAE as a nation a digital embassy initiative. Nations with more resources like the UAE, we are ready to share our resources through this digital embassy initiative to bring AI technology ready here with other nations who may not be ready today. And we're doing that again with our partner Microsoft.
Terrific. On that note, please join me in thanking Scott and Peng.